Well, how about those comeback kids, the Milwaukee Brewers, rallying, surprising us all, getting down early, and then a big seventh inning rally, and the Brewers come back and win. We'll get to that. And could Corbin Burnes, his replacement, been in Appleton tonight? We'll get to that as well on this edition of Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey everybody, welcome to Locked On Brewers. It's great to have you along here on a great Wisconsin Tuesday night, and always great when the Brewers can come up with a win. Wasn't headed in that direction, but again, those Brewers, they throw a surprise at us once in a while, and that was the case on Tuesday night. We'll talk about that coming up here in a little bit. And the Brewers' top pitching prospect up in single A, Appleton, getting the job done once again. Could he be a possible replacement for Burnes down the road? All that and more coming up here on this edition of Locked On Brewers. Thanks for joining me. I'm Chuck Freeman, your host, longtime sports talk show host in Milwaukee, morning sports anchor at 1310 WIBA in Madison. It is great talking to you as always. And yeah, great to be here. Follow me on any of the podcast apps, Google, Spotify, Apple. We're on all of them. I put them all, and there's probably more, on my Twitter account, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. Check that out there. And, of course, on YouTube, the video version of this thing, we're on YouTube. Just search Locked On Brewers, then hit that subscribe, hit the button. We'll be alerting you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. Well, the Brewers appeared to be heading down that road once again of, getting down early. I put this on Twitter just like I did Monday night. Monday night, they got down early. I said, the Brewers got to come back in them tonight. They were down 4-0. Tuesday, they were down 1-0. Just got to start small. Do the Brewers have a comeback in them down 1-0? Are they capable of rallying from a 1-0 deficit? Then it became 4-0 after Marte hit the home run for Arizona off Colin Ray. Then it looked really in doubt. I had to check the odds, but the Brewers had to be plus 700 in that situation. Was not sure. But by gosh, they chipped away and won this game. A 4-run rally in the bottom of the seventh inning pushes them over the top. They were down 5-3 at the time, and they win 7-5. Yes, the biggest comeback of the season for our local nine. Can you believe it? They had some timely hits. They put guys aboard. It wasn't pretty. They loaded the bases, a walk, and 2 infield choppers that hustle plays. Blake Perkins hustling around the base paths. Safe at first, and then on a potential force at second, he was safe again, and they loaded him up. Christian Yelich bounced out weakly to drive it a run, and then Will Contreras, a 2-run double, put the Brewers on top. They were down 5-4. They took the 6-5 lead. They added another one on a ground out, and they went on to the 7-5 win. Devin Williams, he saved it in the bottom, on the top half of the ninth inning. To me, I call him the sure-handed Devin Williams. He had that blow up in Minnesota, but, how about all the great things he's done for the team this year and in years gone by? And they even said on the broadcast, yep, that airbender was bending. It sure was. And so with one out, I thought, all right, this one is in the book. I know I should not get ahead of myself with the Milwaukee Brewers. And as I was, get ready for the show, get ready to come on into the broadcast studio here, Owen Miller made a great play at first base and a bang double play. Had to review it, but he was out at second base. 7-5, the Brewers win. Jesse Winker had the big moment in this game because they were down 4-1. Winker hit a 2-run home run. His first time wearing the cheese head. His first home run since October 2nd when he was with Seattle. So his first Brewer home run, and came at a great time. He was out early working with one of the Brewer hitting coaches, Ozzie Timmons. He was out there Tuesday working with him in the cage. Maybe it paid off, but hey, veterans, it's not just the young guys that need batting help. It's the veterans, especially on this team. All right. But how about that? They got down 4-0, and I was almost positive that this was game, set, and match. And when I put that tweet out there on Twitter, a lot of you thought the same thing as well. Colin Ray gave up 4 runs. Okay. I don't want to say no big deal, but again, the bar is set low with a guy like that. He's an average pitcher. How about the bullpen, though, coming out and delivering the way they did? Piamps striking out the side of the 8th inning. Devin Williams getting the job done as well. Let's give you that pitching line real quick. The guys who gave that effort for the Brewers, because you know what? After Colin Ray had his struggles out there, and he lasted until the 6th inning, 5 runs on 7 hits. That 3-run home run to Marte was the difference. But Hobie Milner gave up 2 hits, got out of a jam. Bryce Wilson helped him get out of the jam. Piamps, 3 Ks there in the 9th inning, around a base hit, and Devin Williams strikes out 1 and has a perfect, well, he did walk a guy, but close enough to perfect for me. Those guys helped nail down the win and pick the team up. Starting pitching was okay, so, but for what I expect out of Colin Ray, yeah, like I've said all along with the Milwaukee Brewers, you got to give these guys some offensive support once in a while, okay? A guy like Colin Ray, because he's had some performances out there where he's been real good, above our standards for him, and the offense has not been there. Okay, there's been some bad performances too, and the offense hasn't rescued him. Tonight it did. Want to see more of that where the offense rescues the pitching staff. Okay? Want to see more offense, period. Now, I hope this is it's not just something out of the ordinary. I have a funny feeling it is, because we're already at June 20th, and we're talking about them scoring 7 runs. It's like it's like the Yankees putting up 20. The Brewers having an offensive explosion with 7 runs. This seems weird to even see that on the box score. But yeah, bullpen, biggest comeback of the year. They're not in first place. They can't overtake those Cincinnati Reds who keep on winning. The Reds have won 10 in a row. The Cardinals won earlier today. They've won 4 of 5. Those are the 2 teams really I'm eyeing up right now in the National League Central. All right, when we return, we'll get to your tweets. Jacob Misiorowski made his home debut for the Timber Rattlers. His 3rd start. We'll tell you how it went coming up a little bit here. Brandon Woodruff getting closer to a return as well. And of course, we're going to preview the Wednesday pitching matchup. It is going to be a great one at AmFam Field. All that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. If you see me bend over like this once in a while, I'm just making sure that all systems are go with everything on our microphones, because we did have a little problem, but we seem to be all good. Game time. If you want to go to the game on Wednesday, go to Gametime. It's going to be an afternoon game. It's going to be a beautiful day, a little on the warm side, but hey, we got to enjoy this warm weather while we can in Wisconsin. And game day, our game time on game day is a perfect time. The Gametime app, flash deals, last minute tickets, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in our area. Baseball, basketball, football, hockey, it's all there. Theater, the great concert season. You can find them all on Gametime. On concerts around the state, just not in Milwaukee, but all around the state and, all around the world for that matter. Gametime is the way to go. Forget planning months in advance. They specialize in last-minute tickets. Go to their sites. You'll see some great deals on there. I've done that many times for Brewer games. I've got $10 seats in back of the Toronto Blue Jays dugout one time when the Jays were in town last year. Like 10 rows back. It was great. So get exclusive flash deals and tickets for all of those events I was telling you about. You get images of the seat before you buy. You can click it on and it'll show you right how you're, and it's not going to lie too. It's going to tell you exactly where you're going to sit. So you'll know exactly where your seats are before you even arrive to the game. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds. 2 taps and you're all set. Tickets sent directly to your phone. Download the Gametime app today. Create an account. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your purchase. Do this. $20 off your purchase. That's a great deal. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your purchase. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. All right, we're coming back. And we'll talk about Jacob Misiorowski's performance, look ahead to Wednesday's matchup, and a few other things in store. Coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Chuck Friedman, your host here on Locked On Brewers. Thank you, everybody, for always tuning this in wherever you're watching us. YouTube, download us on YouTube. Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe, hit that bell there. It's going to alert you every time we drop an episode. And of course, all the podcast platforms, we're everywhere. Apple, Google, Spotify. There's places I've never even heard of before that download this. We are the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet for a reason, because of you everydayers out there, you guys out there, you ladies, you guys who download us, watch us, listen to us on the way to work, picking up the kids, on your business appointments, your sales calls, whatever. Thanks for making Locked On Brewers your #1 listen to every day. And the Brewers take on the Diamondbacks in the final game of the 3-game series, the rubber game of the 3-game series. You don't even know where that term is from, the rubber game. We've been saying it for decades, the rubber game of the series. And Wednesday's always a great day because lots of afternoon baseball. For you gamblers out there, I know you like that. Lots of afternoon baseball. The Brewers will be a slight underdog in this game for a 110 first pitch and a real good pitching matchup. They're facing Zac Gallen, Julio Teheran going for Milwaukee. We'll tell you about that coming up here in a little bit. But it's going to be at 110 with that first pitch. Catch every pitch to the Brewers hometown broadcast, Sirius XM, the SXM app. Search Brewers. All right. I really thought the Brewers were going to throw back a win. They swept the Pirates. They threw back one of the wins on Monday, and it looked like it was headed in that direction once again. But thank God they survived and they won. I think Corbin Burnes is a hot topic among Brewer fans. I was talking to a guy earlier today on the golf course before the Brewer game. Said, Chuck, I think that kind of ticked the whole team off when the Brewers did not pony up the extra $700,000 for Corbin Burnes. I didn't think it was going to be causing that much of a stir among Brewer fans, but apparently it is. It's not a problem in the clubhouse. Every businessman, every guy in that team is their own businessman. Just like when you go to work, you're your own businessman. You control your own destiny for the most part. You know what you're going to get paid. Everybody gets paid differently. I know that. And same with a Brewer clubhouse. Okay. What Corbin Burnes is making doesn't affect anybody else on that team. Yeah, he was not happy he didn't get that $700,000 extra in his arbitration case, but it's not affecting the team. And it's not affecting Corbin because he's trying to get his next contract. He got shelled last night and ran into a guy today in the golf course. He said, Chuck, I really think that $700,000 that he said the Brewers are being cheap. No, they're not being cheap. That's a business deal. If they don't think Corbin Burnes is going to be a part of their future, and all indications are that he's probably not going to be a part of the Brewer organization long term. Okay, they would have probably have given him the extension by now. Same with Willie Adames. But as far as Burnes is concerned, yeah, that's not affecting him. And if he's not part of your team long term, why would you pay $700,000 for a guy who you might be trading at the trading deadline off season or whatever? And he also mentioned, the Brewers, I think they made a mistake by not trading him in the off season. He's still having a decent year. He's still got a good arm. He's just not having a Cy Young type year like he did 2 seasons ago. But he still has got a lot of value. Now, should the Brewers be giving him a $300 million contract? No. They should be doing that to anybody. Even if he was having another Cy Young year. They got $25 million tied up in Yelich. And I really believe our owner, it's not a matter of being cheap. It's baseball economics. Really, it is. I firmly believe that. It's baseball economics. This is a problem in baseball. All right, this is the Players Association. I don't want to go down that road again, but we know the problems there are financially in baseball. So the Brewers not giving him the $700,000. It's not affecting him at all. He had a bad start yesterday. He gave the 7 runs on Monday. But I think when they do say goodbye to Corbin Burnes, Jacob Misiorowski is a guy in the future. Probably another guy who's going to come up here, put in his time, and then we're going to say goodbye to him as well, because, the financial future is never going to get corrected in baseball. But Misiorowski has made 3 starts, 13 innings pitched, and has not allowed an earned run. He made his debut in Appleton tonight for the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. That beautiful stadium they have up there, off 41. I got to see what he pitches next, because I want to try to go. Maybe if he pitches this weekend, I'd like, if they're home, I haven't checked the Timber Rattler schedule, because I'd love to see him pitch, because he's been dominating. And it sounds like the way he's pitching, he's not going to be in high A very long. He might be rolling over to Biloxi before we know it, the AA team. But I really think Jake, 6'7", their top pitching prospect, he'll be the guy down the road who will slot into Corbin Burnes' spot. Not putting the cart before the horse here, but this guy's got a lot of talent. Barring something drastic happens, Misiorowski is just watching some of that, the highlights of him on YouTube. A lot to be excited about with him. Again, the pitching has been great for the Brewers in the starting rotation, but I think Misiorowski down the road is going to be in. Speaking of pitching, Brandon Woodruff throws a bullpen session on Saturday. We heard, remember a couple of months ago, April, they said end of June, and that seemed like so long ago. But Woodruff is going to throw a bullpen session, getting closer and closer to returning to this rotation. And he's going to have to, obviously, going to go to Nashville. Maybe I'll have to go to Appleton, but he's going to make a few rehab starts. He's got to work up that pitch count, get it, so he's a starter again. It's going to take him a few starts down in the minors to get going. But man, getting Woodruff back would be huge. That's like adding a pitcher. All right, that'd be just like adding a pitcher. Those two guys going back and back. The pitching has got to be great, because the offense, other than tonight, very, very bad. Okay, that's not ripping on the Brewers. This is something we know. Gus Frelick has got 7 games in the books so far in the Arizona League and in Nashville. Seems to be hitting. I touched on this a little bit last night in the podcast. Where is he headed? I think they're going to wait a little bit on him. I don't think they'll rush to bring him up unless there's a desperate need for an outfielder. Somebody got hurt, or somebody just not pulling their weight. But I think that for sure in September, I think he'll be up here. In September. But he's coming back from that thumb injury. All indications are he is looking real, real good. All right, let's get to some of your tweets real quickly. Some of your tweets, and thank you, everybody. During the game, please tweet me at Chuck Freeman. Chuck, Freimund. Follow me along as well. Follow, tweet at me, DM me, whatever you want to do. Always love reading some of the stuff, because you guys, I'll tell you, there are some clever people out there. The tweets that you put out, some of the funny things you guys say, it's great. I said it earlier when they're down 1-0. Can the Brewers come back and win this game? Do they have a comeback in them? Down 1-0. That was serious too, because that's where we are with the Brewers. Rush G earlier the night said no, but then he came back and he said, never been happier to be wrong. A great win. Chroma says, well, I did not expect this comeback in a million years. Thank God. Spencer, after the Brewers had already come back, Said yes. Scott says, never so happy to be wrong. Tyler says, oh, I didn't think they were going to come back after pulling the starter with only 70 pitches. Why does Counsell do this? Well, you can't argue with that because the bullpen, Colin Ray, the third time around, get him out of there. You pitched him into the sixth inning. I was good with that. Let the bullpen. The bullpen was fresh tonight because Adrian Hauser on Monday night sucked up 4 innings and a 9-1 loss. So use the bullpen. Use those guys. Okay? Colin Ray is not an 8-inning guy. He's not. You pitched him into the 6th inning. All good. And the bullpen did its job, led by Payams. Yeah, most of you didn't think the Brewers were going to come back. Me too. Are the Brewers going to come back from a 1-0 deficit? Having a good time, says Chuck, do you like your job? I think you're probably being facetious because the Brewers tend to sometimes be the same old story. This team, I'm hoping things can turn around in that area, but yeah, I love my job. I love doing Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Brewers and Tigers, Brewers and Diamondbacks coming up in Game 3 of the series on Wednesday afternoon. Those midweek afternoon games, 1:10. Kids are out of school. Bus trips from all over the state, bars, restaurants. They'll be packing them in, coming down to see the Brewers and Diamondbacks. And some of you guys, from northern Wisconsin, don't get a chance to see the team yet by taking down that bus trip down from your local watering hole. And of course, if you're not at the game, catch every pitch of the Brewers' hometown broadcast, Sirius XM, the SXM app, search Brewers. All right, we'll come back and get you all set for Wednesday's game, the pitching matchups, all that and more. Next, as we head down the home stretch of this edition of Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you for joining us, downloading us on the various apps out there for podcasts, the audio version, YouTube. Subscribe, hit the alert button there, the little bell. It'll alert you every time we drop an episode. Follow me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, Freimund. Julio Teheran. 5 great starts out of this guy so far. Let's make it 6. Better than anybody expected so far. Doesn't have the blazing mid-90s fastball. Getting it done with the sinker. Location. And being a veteran pitcher. A guy who's been around. Now, Teheran, due for a clunker, wouldn't you think? The guy had not pitched in the majors since 2020, was down in the minor leagues, and he's been great all 5 of his starts. I don't mean to jinx him by saying, he's due for a clunker, but man, he's been so good so far. Let's keep it going. Zac Gallen goes for the Diamondbacks. He's their ace. His velocity was down in his last outing. The manager, Torey Lovallo of the Diamondbacks, said it was due to an unusual starting time. I didn't get that. Pitched on Friday. I don't know what the starting time. I don't know. Unless you're pitching at 3 o'clock in the morning or 10 a.m. in the morning, which I don't think the game was. I don't get why Zac Gallen, his velocity is down because it was a little earlier in the day. Unusual game time. I don't know. But one Brewer who's had success against Zac Gallen, Christian Yelich, 3 for 8 lifetime in his career. Gallen comes in with a record of 8-2, a 2.96 earned run average. Has been very good. He's their ace. Might be the all-star starting pitcher for the National League. The way things are going for him. Having a great year. Velocity down, but man, that guy is good. Teheran and Gallen. Got a feeling runs could be at a premium if both guys are on their game and they've pitched like their recent history. Could be one of those type of games. All right, the Brewers did get the job done. How about that? Quality win. Come from behind. We didn't expect it to happen. They were down 5-3 and 4-0. Rallied and won this game 7-5, even their series with Arizona. One more game left on the homestand, and then they go on a long road trip. They're not back till July 3rd when they face the Cubs. A couple of afternoon games that week because it's 4th of July week. People are off of work, and it'll be great to take that in. But the Brewers got a long road trip coming up. Let's send them off. Keep that offense going. Keep that offense going. Got to make sure I didn't raise up the wrong finger there. Make sure they're interlocked. Let's keep them going. Give them another one, Julio Teheran. Looking forward to that game. And we'll be back here later on Wednesday night with another edition of Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Chuck Freeman. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And let's get a win on Wednesday.